शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्याङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणीश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनध्यासितं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षातात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामच्युतव पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। Namo Ramana. In this Tuesday satsang from Ramanacentre for Learning, Bangalore, we have been meditating on the reminiscences of Sri Mahakrishna Swami, his stay in Ramanashramam has been brought out in the book titled Years in the Presence of Ramana, My Master, originally edited by our founder president Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have been reading his reminiscences from the section Techniques of Teaching. After reading and meditating on this week's his reminiscences, we will be practicing a 20 minutes self-enquiry session. Following that, Nandakumarji would be contemplating on self-enquiry by his experience. Then finally, we will have the concluding prayers to Bhagavan. Mahakrishna Swami continues to write, we called him Bhagavan and some associated that body to the master. But the divine cannot be restricted to a simple physical body. Out of compassion, he manifested himself for the world in a more tangible form. And blessed is he who recognizes him as the master and opens himself to receive his sacred Upadesha. We called him Bhagavan and some associated that body to the master, says Mahakrishna Swami. This is the general error, that since we consider ourselves as a body and as the perceiver through the senses, and therefore we superimpose the same error in all our perception. We also consider the others to be a body with a name and a form, and we also believe it is that name and form which actually responds to whatever interactions we have with that name and form. And we may give it a name, or here we may call it Bhagavan. But in reality, the truth, which is that is the divinity which is the only one entity that is responsible. Though we may not see where somebody as not a body, but more as a person, more as the self. But when we talk about he or she again, are we not again perceiving the body? Was the thought I had. In fact, this is a conversation that is going on between me and my two daughters. And I shared a video recently to them explaining, in which the conversation goes on. Father tries to explain how the daughter has to dress herself up so that she is protected, and she doesn't like that being told by the father. And then the father uses the analogy of the mobile and says, if the mobile, just a few thousand rupees mobile, needs a screen guard on one side and a covering case on the other side so that it doesn't get scratched or dismantled or broken or whatever which way, how important is one's own self, and therefore how important it is to protect. And therefore why he insists that we should use the traditional methods of dressing. Of course, I shared this with my daughters, and both of them came that the society at large doesn't dictate such terms to boys, but dictates a lot of terms to the girls and insists them to follow. So there was the conversation went on to say that to change the society is quite difficult compared to changing the family. And changing the family is quite difficult compared to changing oneself. And further in oneself, if we go within and within, changing our perceptions itself is so difficult. And until we reach the changeless truth, it is found to be again difficult and difficult. So we went on to look at Akka Mahadevi, and then the Akka Mahadevi's Vachana, which I shared to them, stated that I'll try to read that. It's very beautiful what Akka Mahadevi writes. Just give me 2 minutes. She says, born in this world, I follow the way of the world. Possessing a form, I go with the form. I am involved physically in this world, but in my mind, I have forgotten it. Like a burnt rope, I still keep the form. O my Lord Channamallikarjuna, being one of the 11, I am like a lotus in the water. So then it became, we both, as we meditated, all of us, became very, very clear to say that we are a male or a female is in a way again associated with the body, that we are superimposing something else on our actual reality. That is how we may be perceived, and that is how we may have to live in the society, in the manifested realm, that we need to take care of this body as being a male or as being a female, and we may have some of those things. But in reality, when we inquire who we are and get back to the self, where is male, where is female? In fact, another the person who is in the same lineage of the Shaivite, this thing, she goes on to say, one who grows breast and braid of hair is called a female. One who grows mustache and beard is called a male. Is the knowledge in either female or male? So that's the question she asks. So it is important to recognize the more the innering, the more we get closer to the reality, two things happen. The first and foremost thing is there is no need to reform anything. In fact, we start to think that all this duality is actually a blessing, so that we see that we cannot reform it, we can't change it, and moreover, lot of energy is dissipated in those unwanted things. As Bhagavan says to his mother, what is bound to happen will happen. So there is, therefore, the only course is to remain silent. So the more and more it becomes clearer that when we say Bhagavan as he or she or others as a body or not a body, we are superimposing in a way, whether subtly or grossly, our own imagination of what we are again on the others. But in reality, as is the case of knowledge or as is the case of the self, there is no he or she. It is the purity of that itself. So here again we can see that Bhagavan, we may say the truth appeared in a human form, and in this case a male form, and it helped all of us get the solution to the problems, and the problem happens to be our own thoughts, our own ideas and concepts. So, and that was the Upadesha that Bhagavan gave. Continuing on what Mahakrishna Swami has captured here, when Bhagavan Sri Ramana was 70 years old, his body began to be very sick. Even though all the necessary treatments were administered, the disease did not abate. However, his discipline of attending all who needed him was not broken. And when it was no longer possible for him to go to the hall to receive people, they came to the room where he was and were helped as always. The care of the disciples was intense, and the doctors assisted the master uninterruptedly. On April of 1950, the respiration ceased completely, the body was considered dead, and the rituals were prepared according to the customs of India. So here we can see what that truth, which we call Bhagavan, which we call the Master, was really in reality. He captures it so beautifully. Whatever the ailment of the body was no restriction to that truth, to that love, to that compassion, which wanted to be always available to whoever wanted to reach it out. That truth is what is being very beautifully described. Even though some of the physical capabilities of the body did not enable that love and that truth to go to the people, but it was available when people came to the truth. And it always helped them, says Mahakrishna Swami here. So it is, and our founder president says that Bhagavan is the living Guru. It is not that the Bhagavan that we think of or we often perceive him to be a body or a manifestation in the form of a person is not there now. He was always there and he continues to be there. And how do we see him? Even today we perceive him as that love, as that thing that is available for all of us when we reach out to him and going on helping us. That is how Bhagavan is available to all of us. And in a question answer series between Yudhishthira and the Yaksha, the there is a place where Yaksha asks him, how do you get a Dvitiyavan? Somebody who stays always, who is available to you at all times. How do you get it? And then the Dharmaraya says that it is by tapas that we get the Mahat, and it is only with full faith on that thing which enables us to get, which may be God, which may be the Guru, with, on which we put the full faith. That is the one which enables, which brings the Dvitiyavan. And Kameshwarji very beautifully talks about why the Dvitiyavan is very important in this in one's journey. He says that we are all in a quicksand, so much being dragged inside. We made all our effort, all our struggle, even actually deepens these kind of being sucked into the quicksand. It is only those who are above the sand, who are free from it, who are there, who are compassionate, who are standing beside, who throw themselves to help to pull us out, is the most important person, and we should have complete faith on them. So here, in a way, we can see that Bhagavan, who is the one who is with lot of compassion, the one with who is always ready to help, is something that we have to keep our faith completely and go on doing what is Upadesha is. Go on practicing, doing the tapas that we need to do, and that His grace will definitely help us transcend all these imaginary limitations that we ourselves have put it on and being getting disturbed by it. So, with immense grace, with immense faith on Bhagavan, with which alone we have come to this most direct path. For the next 20 minutes, all these disturbing thoughts, which are all basically ideas and concepts that we have superimposed like the snake on the rope, we should get we should inquire to whom is this, to whom is these ideas and whom is these thoughts, so that we can recognize that Dvitiyavan who is there, who has already, who is in reality, in truth, have transcended all these limitations and shining in each of us as the I continuously. By having complete, by reaching out to that and by abiding in that higher truth, which alone is, we see that the I also is absorbed in that truth. That is the real lifting of us from the quicksand and making us one with it. And that is the real tapas that we need to do, to recognize the truth is very much available in the heart. Hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahmamatram aham iti sakshat atmarupena bhati. So that Dvitiyavan is there and we can reach out to it. All we need to do is inquire every thought, every idea, which is only a false imaginary thing, by inquiring to whom is this and recognizing it is for me, the thinker, and by inquiring who am I and taking our attention with full faith to that truth which alone is. And by repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the truth alone shines effortlessly. With this abundant grace, for the next 20 minutes, let us practice self-enquiry. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana. More Ramana? More Ramana, sir?
Namo Ramana. Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo Ramana. Let us take a verse from Guru verse number 783. This is from Meditation on the Truth, the second segment. The subsegment is focusing intently on the source. Focusing intently on the source. Verse 783. There are some notes also from letters. The verse goes like this: O mind, you who wander and suffer, searching outside for happiness instead of realizing the state of liberation that is truly yours by right, you should know that if you travel back along the way you came, then through that path you will attain endless supreme bliss, liberation. So what is the way to focus on the source? Bhagavan is addressing the mind, which is inside each one of us. O mind, you who wander and suffer, searching outside for happiness instead of realizing the state of liberation that is truly yours by right, you should know that if you travel back along the way you came, then through that path you will attain endless supreme bliss, liberation. There is a quote from letters from Ramanacentre. So let us see that. Question: Swami, having a great desire for moksha, deliverance, and anxious to know the way thereto, I have read all sorts of books on Vedanta. They all describe it each in a different way. I have also visited a number of learned people, and when I asked them, each recommended a different path. I got puzzled and have come to you. Please tell me which path to take. So the mind is asking Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is telling, Bhagavan smiling, all right then, go the way you came. The same thing said in the verse is said as a reply to that boy, all right then, go the way you came. Then Surinagama writes about it. We, Surinagama and the other devotees who listened to the reply felt amused at this. The poor young man did not know what to say. He waited until Bhagavan left the hall and then with a depressed look turned to the others there appealingly, and said, Gentlemen, I have come a long way with great hope and with no regard for the expenses or discomfort, out of my ardent desire to know the way to moksha, liberation. Is it fair to tell me to go the way I came? Is this such a huge joke? Thereupon one of them said, "No, sir, it is no joke. It is the most appropriate reply to your question. Bhagavan's teaching is that the enquiry, who am I, is the easiest path to moksha. You asked him which way the I should go, and his saying, go the way you came, meant that if you investigate and pursue the path from which that I came, you will attain moksha." So first of all, the gift of Bhagavan, that the mind is the same as the I thought. That we usually feel the mind is made of many thoughts, but then in Upadeshasaram, Bhagavan says, Vrittayastvaham, Vrittimashiritaha, Vrittayo mano, Vidyaham manaha. The mind, though made of many thoughts, apparently in our experience, all the thoughts are dependent on the I thought for their rising. Only after the I thought arises, they arise. And throughout the duration of their experience, the I thought should be there as the adhara. And the moment the I thought subsides in sleep, all of them tumble down into sleep. Based on this, the vidyaham manaha, the I thought itself is said to be the mind. Now, with the combination of the letters and from the verse, when Bhagavan says, "O mind," he is talking to the I thought within each one of us. O I thought, which is what the person who explained told the boy, that Bhagavan is telling your I thought to go back the way it came. O mind, O I thought, you who wander and suffer, searching outside for happiness, instead of realizing the state of liberation that is truly yours by right. So the main point there is the I thought is always outward turned by habit. The I thought, if it had the habit of turning inward, it won't come for anybody's upadesham. Because who is there when the I thought is turned inward? Hariyaditara jivara ahavarisa guhair Arivairami Paramatman Arunachala Ramana. The Arunachala Ramana himself is waiting for the moksha to be blessed as the spurana, as the I within the I thought. Hariyaditara jivara ahavarisa guhir. Within the I thought, the Paramatma Ramanan is there, shining as the Paramatman there, the I. So what the I thought should do, what it has done, first let us see what it has done. It has caught hold of one thought after another and come out, and now has got a whole bunch of thoughts called the mind. It is not sufficiently happy with that. It takes one thought in that as the gross body and comes out through the gross body's senses and identifies with the gross body as I, and continues the same thing, continues to search outside the gross body. If I get that object, will I be complete? If I have union with this being, will I get complete? Will I have, if I have friendship with that, will I have completeness? That means the same habit which had begun at the root, the I thought being turned outside of itself, searching for solution in other thoughts, is continuing even when the gross identity is there. That gross identity, it goes and asks Bhagavan, Swami, I have a great desire for moksha, anxious to know the way thereto. I have read all sorts of books on Vedanta. They all describe it each in a different way. So the I thought goes out and searches for moksha in different books. I have also visited a number of learned people in the sensory world. identifying with the gross body, it will identify the jnani also with gross body, as Dileep was reading out, that the fundamental mistake that the I thought will do, it will first identify with the gross body and then identify that the jnani also has gross body, and will go from jnani to jnani asking for how to get moksha. I have also visited a number of learned people, and when I asked them, each recommended a different path. I got puzzled and have now come to you. Please tell me which path to take. And this, the final guru on the outside will always be telling this. To give moksha, will turn the I thought inward. Smiling, Bhagavan says, all right then, go the way you came. So what it has to do? It has to turn inward from the sensory body. For that, Bhagavan says, when you are doing a sensory activity, don't get completely immersed in that. Always be aware who is doing the sensory activity. We are listening to some news, we are walking in the park. If you are attentive to the eye, then you have surrendered that whole field to Ishvara's domain. If you are holding the eye, you are obviously not judging that field, the sensory area, with any other thoughts. Therefore, when you are holding the eye as to who is listening, suppose you are now listening to this exchange as to with who is listening, then you don't generate any thoughts of like or dislike towards any sensory objects. So then you are able to turn inward and look at your thoughts. And there too, the journey has to continue. The I thought, it has come out into the sensory area, tried to look at various other people. Now, obeying Bhagavan, it has turned inward. It is saying, this is the way I came out. What is the way to go back in? Let me hold who is engaged in the sensory area, either by observing breath or holding the sensory eye, you are able to turn inward. Then you have the subtlety to look at the thoughts. So, how did you come into this whole area of bunch of many thoughts? By holding one thought after another. So, what is the way to go back? The only way to go back is leave one thought after another. Let go of one thought after another. Bhagavan says, whenever there is a thought and the thinker, whenever there is subject and object, there is something that is underlying both. There is a consciousness that is underlying both, connecting both. Don't pursue the thought and thereby emphasizing the separation between the thinker and the thought, but ask for whom is this thought, so that you can come to the substrate underlying the thinker and the thought. So let go one thought after another, that when the thought arises, it feels as though the thought is something apart from us. But what Bhagavan says, that separation from subject and object or between subject and object is a falsity. Whenever the non-self is felt, whether in any kind of sensory object or in the area of thought, the best thing to do is to ask, for whom is this thought? Because if you are pursuing that thought, if you are pursuing the object, you are implicitly widening the gap between the subject and the object by putting on more and more objects onto the, let's say, shopping cart. Now, the return journey is leave one thought after another. Don't worry about the number of thoughts you have to live. Keep living. And there Kapali Shastri comes and asks on our behalf, would we have to keep living like this endlessly? That will the thoughts never come to an end? But then Bhagavan says, no, it's not like that. That once you turn inward, the thoughts must come to an end. And you must be able to hold the eye. You must be able to hold the eye. That is where you learn the art of being still, or you learn the art of inquiring from whence am I. When you inquire whence am I, we call that as the Bhakti Marga. And when you hold the eye in stillness, we call that the Jnana Marga in Atma Vicharam. That clarification is given by Bhagavan in Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. in the talk where he has that exchange with Lakshman Sharma ji. So either way, now the young man who was first made to identify with the mind and from mind to the I thought is now firmly in the return journey. He is going back the way he came. He is going back to the source. The way is to let go of the object and turn inward. This particular aspect is the way in which Bhagavan would instruct many people who have come. And in one of the devotees who is V. Gunaji from Pune, the first instruction he gets in the 1930s is about turn inward. He quotes Jnaneshwar and says, the only thing we want is the dissolution of the mind. The only thing we want is the abidance in the self. Oh Bhagavan, please, if you can give anything, give us the dissolution of the mind, give us the abidance in the self. And Bhagavan says, take the grace. That's what the verse says. It is your birthright. You are that. Tat tvam asi. The only thing the Guru gives you with assurance is that you are already that. All you have to do is let go of the falsities. Get in, take as much as you want, turn inward. And after 12 years, Gunaji comes and says, I am able to turn inward and even I am able to be in the thought-free state. That is where the I has completely merged in its source, or where the I is completely still. I am able to be completely still, or I am able to be completely merged in the source. But how to remain there? How to abide in that source is the question now. And Bhagavan says, I have indeed asked you to go inward, turn inward. But the inward and outward is always only with reference to a body. You yourself have this feeling of inward and outward only because you are retaining the membrane of the ego. Even though you are still, even though you are immersed in the source, you have still got the membrane covering, like the bucket dropped into the well, which can be pulled out. You have still got the ego. That is why you are still feeling, I have now got inside, I am still now. But then since the membrane is there, your bucket is pulled out. That you come out of the inside and come outside. Only so far as the body is there, there is inward and how to remain inward. When the body is demolished, when that membrane is cut, when the Chitjada Granthi is destroyed, where is in? Where is out? Says Bhagavan. The oneness with the source is the only truth in which this whole game can end. And when it ends in that oneness of truth, we were reading another Guru Vachakko verse today. Bhagavan through Muruganar asks us, will you have a feeling that somebody did sadhana, that somebody was ignorant and they cut through the net of veil of ignorance and now they have come and abided in the sense? Where is the storyteller? Where is the one who says, I have walked all this, I have learned like that, I have done like this? No, in self-enquiry, all the paths too are completely immersed in the self. And the self is ajata, is unborn. There is no one who is bound. There is no one who is seeking liberation. There is no path to liberation. Because that which is only the self. And all one has to do is turn back inward and go back the way we came. Be one with the source. And be so immersed that even the return journey is completely merged and made one into the self. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo Ramana sir.
Namo Ramana sir. Thank you. We'll conclude the satsang with prayers to Bhagavan. Apara Satchit Sukhavarirashi Yasyormimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabhiram Chintavihinam Hrudi Chintayami Chintavihinam Hrudi Chintayami. Namo Ramana. Thank you all.